All right, now we're gonna watch this. I've been wanting to watch this one actually. It's by The Siege. Come on with your name. Making it harder for me. What are the choices leading to? I'm gonna make a prediction. They're leading to like maybe like what your character's gonna be in the end or something. Are they gonna be a good character that came to like set things right, or are they gonna be the perpetuating the, I guess, the darkness? I don't know, something like that. Maybe quiet a little bit for this one, because it's a lore drop one.
Hey all, Siege here, and today, well, I want to ask you.
Darkness for
Ever wonder what the
Justice for
choices in
Gotham.
Warframe's quests actually mean, and furthermore, what they are leading us towards? Some of the choices given are usually pretty definitive in what they represent, these being available during the War Within, Sacrifice, and very briefly during the Glass Gambit quests. I have to admit, when I first saw the choices in the circle that switches its picture and color orientation depending on which of the three is chosen, I'd always assumed it to be the typical light, dark, and gray choice convention that I've experienced countless times before. You know, the light one is good, dark bad, and the mix is the middle selection. Mysterious. You can go either way, you know?
Ma, don't shake your head at me.
Although most of the selections seem to be able to follow that pattern, one in particular always bugged me. At the end of the Sacrifice quest, the Tenno is offered his typical three choices, but the light-dark aspect in this instance didn't really match up at all with my typical thinking. Squirm like the maggot that you are, just, I don't know, it doesn't seem too wholesome or good, at least in my eyes. However, I just kind of shrugged it off before, you know? But for those of you that caught the last video, you might remember I mentioned that I've been noticing Warframe has many different instances of what I feel to be Carl Jung's shadow persona within the game. And it's in one YouTube creator's videos in particular that I saw something that, at least in my mind, really does lend a lot of credence to the meaning behind the choice system. And, like always, I also have a theory on what I now think will be the culmination of it all. So, what does the little circle and the choices associated with it represent? According to the Warframe wiki, it's a representation of the player's overall morality as a reflection of the Tenno's state of mind and the resulting consequences to their internal psyche, which, curiously, links directly to the man on the wall. We'll get to him soon enough, but let's look at the choices, how they align with each option, and what they represent taken as a whole. Recently, I've been watching a YouTube content creator by the name of Max Darrett, and although these aren't his original ideas, I feel like he is able to convey the meaning of Jung's shadow in a way that is easy to understand, even without a lot of experience in this area. Truth be told, if this type of thing interests you, I highly recommend visiting his channel and specifically watching his compilation on the book Ion. It might just blow your mind. I'm going to leave a link in the description, and although it can be a lot to grasp,
We're reacting.
I promise it will make you think, regardless what your belief structure and really anything is. So, here is his idea of the Jungian shadow.
The most accessible of the inner archetypes is the shadow. It is easy to access once one accepts that human beings are imperfect and can have negative qualities. All of those contents about oneself that one doesn't like fall into the shadow. The shadow occupies the unconscious realm of our psyche. While not all unconscious contents are shadow contents, like positive memories one might recall, most remain unconscious because they are difficult to integrate into one's conscious being.
And now, in regards to this video, here's the part he so eloquently explains that I feel ties the choice system together.
Confrontations with the shadow are necessary. There needs to be an unconscious realm to give dimension to the conscious realm. Otherwise, neither can exist. It's like if light were to exist without darkness, or darkness without light. It's an impossibility. Jung theorized that in order for the ego to grow to its highest peak, the Jungian self, one must confront all of the contents of one's shadow. Only then can one's psychological and physical being achieve perfect balance of the opposites, conscious and unconscious, good and evil, etc.
Those visuals are what first piqued my interest, but it was when I first started to apply this interpretation to the choices in the quest specifically that the pieces started fitting together. And to me, this singular decision during the confrontation with the Queen is the most important portion because the three choices given almost perfectly align with Jung's ideas. This, of course, got me to addressing all of the choices in the quests, and I believe there's enough evidence to support the idea that the underlying concepts behind them do match up with Jung's interpretation. The choices with the white background, in my opinion at least, represent a suppression of reality, if you will. Essentially not dealing with the situation, rather allowing the situation to linger far longer, potentially under altruistic ideals, but regardless, the problem remains and will have to be dealt with at some point. The Warframe wiki describes the sun choices as those that make the operator kind yet vengeful, which I think matches up quite well with that idea. Although many times construed as the merciful or good choice, it's probably better characterized as an emotional choice. The one that unfortunately does the least, appearing to be noble, while lacking the necessary logical component to not only see the situation for what it is right now, but also for what it might cause in the future. Consider this choice allowed the Grenier Queen to live. This choice, while
I'm in the middle, right? I've like
would
kept
go on to
mine
destroy
balanced.
her people's way of life. This choice leads to wrath in the sacrifice. In an answer such as, I held out hope, or I hated it, what exactly does that do? It's not even really a decision when you think about it. I think even with the Tenno pouring out the Kuva, this is such a small, worthless thing. I mean, what's one vial in the grand scheme, you know? What do any of these decisions achieve other than postponing the eventual reality of the situation? It's interesting that this choice is called sun
I have nothing much to say.
What I see in the picture is the world burning. Something I'm guessing that many of us that have...
I'm mostly sun, right? But I've gotten it to where it's equal on both sides. It's black and white.
Have suppressed.
That's where I've been trying to go. I know I mostly picked the
might identify and how their own world feels like it's
white
burning
option, but
down
I know I
trying to
picked
keep
the
a
dark
pleasant
option
facade
on
for
purpose
those around
sometimes.
us. That's of course my own interpretation, but to only acknowledge the sun and moon aspects of these images would be discounting quite a bit of the overall image, don't you think? Let's move on to the moon choices, those that are considered pragmatic and idealistic. I think these line up most closely with Jung's idea of being consumed by the shadow, actually allowing...
Well, if we go by this way, white isn't good. White is more emotional. And darkness is more pragmatic. And like thought driven. I think yeah, basically. And I think basically to have a true like character, like I guess to be truly good you would need to be white and black
to control the individual, becoming
whereas if you're
full
of one, your other side is lacking.
I require scales. Now jib.
Now jib. I don't want
and willing to do its dirty work. Consider the choices associated with it. There were nothing but animals, so I hunted. That's supposedly their parents, mind you. I embraced it? Very telling. Kill her. Consume. In the Glass Gambit quest, the Tenno decides to allow Niwa to die, and with an answer like emptiness over the memory of killing Umbra's son, one can see how these decisions do line up with being consumed by darkness, allowing it to color our own reality negative and black in the ocean of the void. Something one can even see on the image associated with the moon decisions. The entire world consumed by the ocean of darkness. It's actually a very fitting image if you ask me. Finally, let's move on to the neutral choices.
I do not have
every
to.
One of these choices, I feel as though the Tenno accepts his or her reality, that they are both good and evil, light and dark, and are willing to live with whatever consequences those produce. The wiki describes these choices as representing a balanced mind between passionate and pragmatic, with the most important aspect of that description being the balanced part. As mentioned earlier, according to Jung, in order to achieve the ego's highest peak, one must confront their own inner darkness, addressing the idea of what we currently are with what we are all capable of being, both good and bad. They had lost their minds. I will do it. Let her decide. Within the context of each of these respective stories is truly the Tenno putting responsibility where it should lie, regardless of the ugly consequences. Coming to terms with what their parents had become on a logical level would be the best way to address what was happening on the Zerman. Curing Niwa dooms her people, but sending her home dooms Niwa. In all fairness, this is really Niwa's decision, not the Tenno's. But only a clear-headed individual could understand this, especially in the heat of the moment. It was our fight with the Queen, not Teshin's, which we dealt with. I think even more telling are the other answers. I controlled it. Control. Acceptance. These line up almost perfectly with the idea of accepting your dark side and using it versus it using you. After all, like the theory goes, one cannot achieve balance without accepting an equal amount of light and dark. We all have both. It's in how we decide to use them or be used by them that determines who we really are. Interestingly enough, there's no world in the neutral image. There's nothing but an equal amount of light and dark. Personally, I think it's meant to show that in this state, everything is aligned perfectly.
Yeah.
And, in my opinion, would be considered the right choices moving forward. Why, you may ask? Well, let's revert back to the idea that the Warframe wiki presents, essentially that the consequences those choices have to the Tenno's internal psyche lead directly to the man on the wall. What I think this means, and is the basis of my theory for the video, is that we created our own men in the wall. And what will happen in the end will tie directly to these choices, essentially in how difficult a thing he will be to overcome. We gave life to our own man, or as a famous man once said, we create our own demon. Who said that? What does it mean? Doesn't matter. I said it because he said it. So now he was famous, and if you remember, Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. or whatever way you want to view it also was famous. So it's basically being said by 2 or 3 well-known guys as well as me. So that's like 2 to 3 well-known guys and a guy some of you know well. So the point is, it's probably legit. And if that is what we are doing, our choices may very well be giving power to this entity. Power.
So basically, if you're full white, your fight's gonna be very hard. If you're full black, I think it's the same. It's gonna be very hard. I don't know like what the difference will be. Maybe like full white, you'll just have to face an insurmountable foe, and in full black, you'll have to get out from under a very strong foe. And I feel like if it's very equal, you'll have like very simple like probably line of text at the end or something, or you'll have a fight, but it'll be like laughably easy because you'll have given almost no power to it.
Power enough at some point that we may find it incredibly difficult to overcome. If your current symbol is neutral, I think you have the best chance overall at how your shadow behaves.
Yeah.
Because of your choices regarding balance between logic and emotion, your shadow holds the least sway over you. And in fact, it very well may be working for you, becoming an ally of sorts. Something I do think the entity portrays periodically in the game. A sense at least that they're looking out for the greater good of the Tenno overall. If your views have been predominantly sunny, quote unquote, you may find the monster at the end of this story might be a lot more than you can handle, as many of the things you've conveniently repressed have been allowed to fester and metastasize into something darker and more resentful, something angry and spiteful.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, your intentions were probably in the right place. However, the monster you're creating cares very little about those intentions, and make no mistake, a fight against a very powerful entity of your own making may very well be in your future, and unfortunately in mine as well. See, this is what I chose, and I'm only now understanding the gravity
Yeah, mine's
of
equal, I think.
decisions. Ones the game does not let you
'Cause
change, and rightfully so.
His is like to the side a little bit.
And now I'm going to have to face the Void Demon.
Woke up right now?
And I think he's even begun to show himself. In every mission I run, at some point, here he is. I think the most telling thing was when I replayed the Sacrifice quest and noticed that my Tenno is having a harder and harder time repressing the demon as shown in the cutscene. What's really weird is this copy, this image that keeps showing up in my missions, it doesn't have a jaw. It's kind of like Raziel from Soul Reaver, you know? Originally I thought this was a visual glitch, but it never goes away and is in every mission I do. So maybe it's time I face the demon. He seems to want to show himself, if nothing else. Oh, I almost forgot. Those Tenno that have been completely consumed by the ocean or the moon people, I think it's very possible your actions might not even be your own anymore. Based upon the interactions during the quests and how it links with Young's concepts, you've potentially already been subsumed by the shadow and are most likely doing what it wants rather than the other way around. Never fear, you're not without hope, as understanding this fact is the first step towards enlightenment. But just know, if there's something inside you right now telling you this theory is stupid, it has no merit, what does he know about us anyway, you might just want to ask yourself who that voice actually belongs to. Just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video today, as well as my
I'd
take on
say,
how these very interesting concepts
definitely give it a like.
I feel are being integrated in the long-form story of Warframe. Now,
And
I
stuff.
might not be completely right with all of this, but
I'm gonna
it's
subscribe
really
to
hard to
this on
ignore
my
all
main
the similarities,
main
as well as what
account,
this could finally be leading
so I can
to,
look at
you
your
know?
stuff more.
If nothing else, it would make the decisions we've been making much
But
more important
yeah,
than I think anyone gave them
definitely
credit
thought
for.
process.
And I think that's pretty cool. At any rate, hope you all have a
We
wonderful
can actually
day
look
today.
at our.
Wonderful rest of your
Let's
week.
look at our.
Keep that shadow in check, and I'll talk at you on the next one.
Let's
Take
take
care,
a
everybody.
look at what mine is.
Bye.
Little hard to hear the video. Why do you guys tell me this at the end? Why? No, we're not having throw on right now because we're about to do a collab. You know the rule. Crazy people, violence. Oh my god, really?
I thought it was
Anything?
just me.
Right. Yeah, I'm fully equal.
Hey Boko, it was a little quiet.
Mm-hmm. It might be OBS, yeah. Okay, from now on I'll have it up higher. And you guys should know by now to tell me this at the start. Not at the end. Yeah, everyone else is gonna have problems.
Lockie said this on the first video.
Did you use TTS, Lakan? You know I don't see it sometimes. If I didn't react, I probably didn't see it. But yeah, everyone else in the group's gonna have problems with their shadow. Me over here accepting my shadow. That's why my shadow shows up on the ship only. It just says hi to me. It says, hey kiddo. It helps me out sometimes.
Operator, do you know which finger the corpus used to count the...
No, we're not hearing that joke. Right, Neko? Yin and yang. Perfectly balanced. As all things should be.
That hey
What
kiddo
kind?
scares me same time.
I like to say hi to him. I like to walk up to him. I
You
don't
hurt
know what
Ordis'
to-
feelings.
Ordis knows I hate that joke. Ordis got silenced for a while because of that joke. But I love Ordis too much, and Ordis knows that. So that's why they're able to talk again. Alright, we're gonna play a little...
No, how could you deny Ordis of the best joke? Hey kiddo,
Hey, kiddo.
say sorry to Ordis.
Ordis knows I love them.
Wait. Hey guys, come watch me on twitch.tv twitch.tv/book of the track, or I'll kill you. Okay, now we can.
Baka.
Alright, guys, have fun!
LMAO.
Ah, crapper, I messed it up. Crappers! There we go. You guys have fun! I love
Baka is very
you.
tiny.
No,